I would like to welcome you to the Saginaw County Sports Hall of Fame grand opening celebration at the beautiful Castle Museum. This museum has been a dream in our eye for a very long time, and tonight it will become a reality. Would you please help me and welcome the man with the vision of this Hall of Fame from the beginning, the president of the Saginaw County Sports Hall of Fame, and my father, Mr. Jack Taney.
Thank you, Sam. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Ms. Tamar Chip. She's going to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's light gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
If you could remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for attending tonight's event, the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Saginaw County Sports Hall of Fame new museum room, or as I like to call it, a locker room without the smell. The first thing I'd like to do is thank that committee that put this event together. Besides myself, we have Jim Pettis, who's the chairman of our new home committee, Jeff Cottrell, Sharon Bade, Pam Mosner, Bud Butler. We'd like to thank them, along with the following vendors who helped assist us with tonight's event: Sullivan's Black Forest, Fabiano Brothers Distributing, S&S Supply Linen Service, and ABO Tent Rental. We also have the Frankenmuth cheerleaders helping us out tonight. Could I have a round of applause for those people? I'd just like to take a few brief moments to let you know how we got here tonight. And I talked to several media today, and it kind of boils down to Dick Weinberg. Dick Weinberg was an All-American swimmer at Arthur Hill High School and at the University of Michigan. And we inducted Dick in 2006. He flew in from California. He was a mayor of a city out in California. He flew here to Saginaw. We had our banquets on Saturday back then, and he attended the banquet. We inducted him. The next day, Don Morey took him out to Saginaw Valley where our plaques were on the wall, and he couldn't get in because the Ryder Center was closed. And that's, for our organization, I admit it was embarrassing. So we pursued a building that was going to be open where people can come. This Castle Museum is open 6 days a week. It's only closed on Monday. They opened today just for us. And we wanted a place centrally located, and we wanted a place that people could come and experience our Hall of Fame museum. So a little over 2 years ago, we entered into a 10-year agreement with Mr. Ken Santa, the CEO of the Castle Museum and the museum board. And the board of directors from the Historical Society from Saginaw County. Our agreement was to renovate an underutilized room. And that's that room right that we're going to be in just a couple minutes. And I just want to thank that board and Ken for having faith in our organization to do what we do. And that's to recognize the top athletes, contributors, and teams throughout our great county. Our first order of business was to partner with the Saginaw Community Foundation. I'd still like to know the person who put the word fun in fundraising, because it's not a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work raising money, but as you may already know, the Community Foundation has been helping nonprofit organizations such as ours since 1984. And Executive Director Ms. Renee Johnston and her co-workers, she helped guide us through a very successful pledge drive, as well as pointing me in the right direction as far as writing grants to local foundations. To be brutally honest, about halfway through our fundraising effort, there was a lull. And I was a little burned out from writing grants, I'll be the first to admit it. Renee knew this, and she picked up the phone. And I know Renee's here tonight. She picked up the phone, she called me at work. She says, Jack, I know how hard you and your committees worked. She says, you can't be discouraged. She goes, Jack, there's a lot of people counting on you. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. Keep pushing. I know you can do it. And she says, if there's anything I can do, please let me know. Well, I would like to personally thank Renee for her guidance and help with the funding factor and help getting our Hall of Fame Museum open. So before the Hall of Fame, we started this project. Our main goal, my main goal as president, was to use solely businesses from Saginaw County, individuals and businesses, to help us build that room. I thought that was mighty important. We're a county Hall of Fame. Let's keep the coin here. The first thing that our organization did was hire an architectural firm. That architectural firm, SCSHOF Architects, here in downtown Saginaw. Their office is right over here on Washington, right across from Morley Park and Morley Plaza, right here in downtown. They had the tough job. One, they had to work with me in my vision of the room. And two, they had to draw up plans to work on a building that opened in 1897. There are people who had to locate all the pipes and the wires that were housed behind walls. And that's not an easy task. And we even found a few cubby holes along the way. There are two gentlemen, Mr. Craig Schneider and Mr. Keith Kosick from SCSHOF. They steered me through the process, and we eventually came up with a set of plans that were agreed upon. That was the first piece of the puzzle. The next thing was to hire a construction company. Who better to hire? Spence Brothers Construction, a local company that has done a great job building and renovating sports facilities at the University of Michigan. So I'd like to thank Mr. Herb Spence and Mr. Jim Schell from Spence Brothers. Jim was a project manager, and he's really my kind of guy. Jim contacted me and said, Jack, what do you want built and when do you want it done? I mean, he was a bulldog. And that's the kind of person you want in a project like this. End of story. That's what he said. What do you want? When do you want it done? I really enjoyed working with him. During the renovation process, they pulled up carpeting to reveal these beautiful wood floors. So we wanted, somebody says, well, you put carpet back in there? No, the beautiful wood floors we wanted to keep. They installed new windows, LED lighting, and really helped shape what it looks like today. There, of course, was a few bumps along the way. Workers removed a wall to reveal a beautiful archway. And that's the entrance of the room. But in doing so, they found 2 column capitals. Remember, Jeff? And column capitals, those are those ornate plaster columns that you see when you go in. And 2 of them were damaged when they were drywalled over decades ago. So what we had to do, we had to hire a special plaster company from Ferndale, Michigan. Nobody around here could do it. And what they did, they made a rubber mold of the good column capitals and built new column capitals so we could keep the integrity of this great building. And the price tag was a cool $3,200. I mean, every time you turn around, there's little things like that. When the renovation was complete, we went to work building displays for the hundreds of pieces of memorabilia that were collected along the way. We had a number of board members that assisted Jeff Cottrell, our curator for the museum, myself, and Don Cox, who was very instrumental in assisting us. We had some non-board members assist us with in-kind, and people like Adam Avila, Jeff Berger, Haley Cottrell, Milt Cottrell, Paul Kleinschmidt, Janet Schultz, Ken Thompson, and Mike Wagner. We thank you for your efforts and interest in our project. Those are people that were non-board members, not affiliated with our board, but they wanted to help out because they saw what kind of project we had. So my goal in this room was we want people to go through this museum room and say, boy, these guys did their homework. And it was fun to collaborate with Don and Jeff because when we're putting things together, we usually had the same idea and nothing spun off because we each had the same focus, the same vision. I just wanted to offer a couple things about the room before we get in there. And we've got some awards for some of our major donors. We use wood from the bleachers at North Intermediate School for the flooring of the displays. We thank our good friends at Covenant Healthcare. They're the ones that let us into North and let us claim the wood and other items from North School. We thought that was pretty cool to carry on that tradition. So the wood floor that you see in there on the displays is from North School. People ask me about the oldest artifact in there. It's not Pat Brady. It's a Letterman's trophy from 1909, and that was the football rivalry between Arthur Hill and Saginaw High, and they had a Letterman's trophy. And there was a football on top of it, which was eventually bronzed, and that was the Thanksgiving Day game. That dates back to 1909. You can see it from the window, but you can see it better from inside the room. Very, very nice artifact. We have so much memorabilia that people gave. We begged people, we borrowed, and we even stole. But we didn't want to cram it into every square inch of that room, so our plans are to rotate. The most memorabilia we got is from the high schools. And we've got a whole back room full of jerseys and equipment, and we plan on rotating the displays in and out so everybody gets recognized. I'd like to thank Mr. Robert Letty, and who single-handedly raised the funds to build a ski simulator. We revealed that ski simulator back in April during our press conference to announce our class of 2014. And once you're in there, you can see that ski simulator. It's very cool. Our job is not over. We've got 2 things we need to do yet. We continue to raise funds for 2 different things. One, window treatments. $5,400 for window treatments because we've got some rather large windows in that room. The second is a touchscreen electronic kiosk. And what that will do, that will house all the information from the Sports Hall of Fame, all the Hall of Fame inductees, their bios, their photos, their acceptance speeches. And it'll also serve as a Saginaw County record book. We've got some records out right now, but we want kids to be able to see what records Saginaw County has. That price tag, $20,000. So that's our last 2 pieces of the puzzle for that. So I received a lot of encouragement along the way. for this project. And I just want to briefly share a couple, just brief notes that I received. And this is how I knew the museum was going to be important to people. The first one was a gentleman a lot of you know, Webby Kirksey. And I wrote to Webby to get him to sign a basketball. And he was a retro Mr. Basketball, and we've got a display in there. And this is a note from Webby. Hey, Jack, hope things are going well. I'm not coming to Saginaw for a couple of weeks, but I'll contact you when I'm coming home. I would be glad to sign a basketball. Thank you for this honor. How cool is that? He's thanking us, and we wanted a piece of memorabilia from him. I thought that was quite cool. The second one is from a gentleman by the name of Mark Smith from Toledo, Ohio. And he starts out, he had called me first about some memorabilia from St. Andrews High School. He says, Jack, is this something you want? And I goes, yeah. So he sent me a letter, sent us a couple uniforms, and, excuse me. I'll briefly highlight this. Dear Mr. Taney, per our conversation on July 25th, I have enclosed 3 sports-related items from St. Andrews High School. My family has a long tradition of service to St. Andrews Parish, going back before the turn of the 20th century. My mother, Mary O'Reilly, and my uncle, Thomas O'Reilly, graduated from St. Andrews in the late 1930s. My sisters, Mary Beth Lance and Martha Burns, also graduated from St. Andrews 1961 and 1968, respectively. Alas, by the time the rest of us Smith kids got to high school, St. Andrews was closed. However, we still have Bulldog blood running in our veins. Our family would be gratified if you could use these items to highlight the colorful history and rich heritage of the Saginaw Valley. But please do not place these items anywhere near whatever items you scrounge up from St. Pete's. He signed it, Go Bulldogs, Mark Smith. Very cool. At this time, I'd like to invite up Mr. Jim Pettis. He's the chairman of our new home committee. And Jim really took, when, again, donations started to lag. Jim, if you don't know, used to be the chief of police in the city of Frankenmuth, and prior to that, he was a Michigan State trooper. And he went and he knocked on doors, and he'd come back with a check of $1,000. He'd come back with a check of $2,000. And we teased him. I said, hey, were you wearing your sidearm when you went to ask people for money? So Jim, if you could come up here. First of all, Jim, I've got something for you. I want you to take you and your wife out to dinner. You worked awful hard, and I appreciate that. You bet. What we plan on doing right now is to, you bet. We wanted to thank the people. We broke our funding down to funding levels, and we wanted to invite up in front of you people the top two donor areas that we have in the Hall of Fame. And the first one, we call it the championship level. These are people who donated between $5,000 and $9,999. And if you people, when I announce your name, if you could come up forward, Jim's got something he wants to give you. First, Mr. Steve Walsh from the Delta Foundation. I saw Steve.
He's here. Oh, here he comes. Make sure you tell him that this is an active display. This is their own person.
Thank you. And again, a replica of that baseball is on display in our Hall of Fame display case. Second, Vicki Schmitzer from Frankenmuth Credit Union. Mr. Gary McClellan from McClellan Properties of Frankenmuth. Not able to attend tonight is Gail Lamphere from the Roland Gerstacker Foundation. And Mr. Jeff McNally from the William McNally Family Foundation. The last one was our own organization. And so we've got a ball in a display case from the Saginaw County Sports Hall of Fame. Could I get a round of applause for these men and women? Next, we're going to introduce the individuals, businesses who are World Series champions. These people donated $10,000 or more. And Chief Pettis is lining up right now. First person I'd like to introduce, Mr. Michael Tate from the Frank N. Anderson Foundation. Mr. Tate. Thank you. Second one, Beth McMall from the C.K. Eddy Family Memorial Foundation. In case Gary gets out of trouble, right there. Third one, Mr. Tom Began from Consumers Energy. Hey, buddy. Thank you. Next one, Mr. Richard J. Garber. I know Dick had another event. I'm not sure if, is he here? Okay. Next one, Ms. Renee Johnson from the Saginaw Community Foundation. Renee? Thank you. Not able to join us tonight is Mr. Ted Braun from the Harvey Randall Wicks Foundation. Could I have a round of applause for these people? You know, I was told a long time ago there's two kinds of people in the world, givers and takers. The takers may eat better, but boy, those givers sure sleep well at night. Can I get a round of applause for all the givers? Now, the official ribbon cutting. If you could go to the alcove near the main entrance.